Hey. How are you today? It's wonderful to be here with you and share the greatness and the goodness of God. In trying moments like this, we all need encouragement. We need to stand with each other. Today, I want to talk about the need for God. The need for God. As Christians, as people, many times when we are in need, or actually not in need, but many times we pray to God when we want something. You want this is when you pray to God. When you are in trouble is when you pray to God. Very many times. Each and every one of us has been in this moment. But you see, God does not show up when you want. God shows up when you need Him to. So most times when we pray and ask God for this, for that, He doesn't show up. Not because He doesn't know, it's because you want Him to, not because you need Him to. But when you need God to show up, He will be there. Rest assured. Because remember, Philippians chapter 4 verse 19 says that, for He will supply your needs according to His riches in glory. Your needs, not your wants. Look at Samson. After his hair was cut, Samson wanted God to show up so he could have his revenge. God did show up. God took his time until Samson needed Him to show up. He came. His hair grew, gave Samson back his strength. Look at Jesus. When He was about to be crucified, He went to the mountain to pray and said, Lord, remove this cup of suffering from me. God didn't show up in the moment and, take it away. But He needed God to show up 3 days later so He could raise Him from the dead. That's when God showed up. And the Jesus of before the grave and the Jesus of after the grave are different. The Jesus of before the grave was the crying Jesus of, Lord, take this cup of suffering away from me. The Jesus of after the grave was the Jesus of all power in heaven and on earth has been given unto me. When God shows up, you change. You become vicious. You become better. You become stronger. You become more powerful. Because God shows up when you need Him, not when you want Him to. God doesn't show up on your schedule. So you always got to be ready and willing when God shows up. Question is, when He shows up, will you be ready? That's the difference. We only pray when we're in trouble. In that moment, we want Him to show up. We don't need Him. But if we want Him to show up, then He will be there. So why don't we change our thinking towards God? Why don't we change our interpretation of how God works? I think we need to stop treating God like a free supermarket where we just show up. The problem with humans is sometimes we think that God owes us. No, we owe Him. He does not owe us anything, no, but we owe Him. He has loved us so much that He has given His Son, Jesus, to save us. In moments like this, yes, He is. So let us stop wanting God to show up. And like I've said before, we need to stop being thirsty for God. Let's start to be desperate for God, because when you are desperate for something, it means you need it. When you are thirsty for it, you could be thirsty for a soda or whatever it is, but you can do without it. But when you are desperate for something, then you need it. You need it. So when we are desperate for God, He will show up because He supplies to our needs according to His riches in glory. This is a food for thought. Just go back, look at your times, okay? Make sure that for every time you needed God, He shows up. And for every time you wanted Him, He probably did not show up because all you did was want Him. But when you need Him, He shows up, because that is what defines and draws the lines between a true believer and a seasonal believer. Sometimes you don't have to be a seasonal believer. You have to be a full-time believer. Full-time believers always need God in every aspect of their lives. When they wake up in the morning, they will say, God, I need you to walk through my day. Because that is need. You know what you need. You talk to God before you start the process. Many of us talk to God after. But the advantage of talking to God before the process is He gets to walk you through it. Being a journalist on the front lines is not easy. Being a doctor on the front lines is not easy. But if you wake up every day and say, Lord, walk me through this day, it's important. When you go out, journalists, they arrest us all the time. They shoot at us sometimes. But when God is walking with you through the process, He's going to shield you because you need Him too. But when things start to turn against you, and that is the moment when you wake up and say that, oh God, I need you. God, please come right now. No, you want Him to show up, but you didn't need Him in the first place. So if you welcome Him to walk out of that door with you, to walk out of your house with you, to protect you through the process of the day, then yes, you need God. You're not calling Him when you're in trouble. No, you are calling Him in both bad and good times. That is the difference with needing and wanting. Needing is perpetually every time. Remember, He's omnipresent. He's always with you. So, always, whether you are a Christian or not, because I know that for some reason, we all believe in a superpower. A power that is greater than us. Lucky for me, I'm a Christian. So I do believe that I need God. Before I walk out of my house, I'm going to ask God to walk with me, to protect me on the road from the accident, to protect me from all types of bad occurrences. When I come back home in the night, I'm going to thank God for taking me through my day and protecting me through my day and walking me through my day. So when you need God, He's always there with you. When you want God, He probably won't show up because all you do is want God when you want Him. Well, He might as well just show up in His own timing. Several times and several stories in the Bible, people showed up when God needed them. Walking the Israelites through from Egypt to Israel, the promised land. During the day, He walked in front of them in a cloud. In the night, He walked in front of them in a ball of fire. The cloud was to give them direction. The fire was to give them light and direction in the night. Because they needed God for that walk. Because God asked them to take that walk. For every time you need God, He's going to show up. But most times when you want Him, He's not going to show up. Because want is an option. Need is compulsory. So, thank you so much for watching. You can share this video with your other friends. They might just be encouraged and start to interpret properly on how to exactly behave with God. You have a good night and a good day for those who are in different parts of the world.